not. It's just a statement.
Beautiful entrance.
Jeez.
I mean, that's up to you, but flat on my
The
face.
fact that we all got that reference,
Sorry. Shows our age.
I wasn't gonna go there. Ours or yours?
I do have something I want to ask you after the meeting.
Okay. You think it'll be late tonight? Because I got a meeting appointment at 7:30. You think?
Call to order. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen.
Good evening.
Good evening. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Call the roll, Mike.
Ms. Benitez?
Yes, present.
Mr. Axiotis?
Here.
Ms. Persino?
Here.
Mr. Rufner?
Present?
Ms. Stemper?
Here.
All right, changes to tonight's agenda.
I'd like to make a motion to change July 3rd's meeting to possibly July 10th.
I'll second that.
So a motion to add a motion to new business to change the July 3rd meeting to
July 10th.
July 10th.
Just to clarify, at 6, regular time.
Pardon?
Regular time, 6
Yeah.
o'clock.
Seconded by Ms. Stemper. And Mr. Rufner?
Yes.
Ms. Stemper?
Yes.
Ms. Persino?
Yes.
Mr. Axiotis?
Yes.
Ms. Benitez?
Yes.
So that'll be added to new business.
May I be?
Yes, please.
I would like to make a motion to consider executive session for the purpose of personnel and compensation. There should be A and I don't know what the other one is.
Second.
Personnel and compensation.
A motion to add a motion to enter executive session to consider personnel and compensation matters.
Correct.
I'll second that, I guess.
Seconded by Mr. Axiotis. And Ms. Persino?
Yes.
Mr. Axiotis?
Yes.
Ms. Benitez?
Yes.
Mr. Rufner?
Yes.
Ms. Stemper?
Yes. Yes. Sorry.
Can I clarify? We're going to do that at the very end, or do you want this before?
No, the very end's fine.
In the, I interpret it as in
The
the typical
normal.
section for,
Yes. Yes.
that's where it'll be at.
Then I have one more.
Yes.
Not sure if, is it proper to go ahead and, we would like to pull the previously tabled for the committee. Sorry, I'm looking at it. The resolution 02-2024, we would like to just pull that at this time, remove it from the agenda.
I'll second that.
Ms. Stemper and Ms. Persino?
Yes.
So we're going to pull that one.
Yep.
So that's a motion to remove, or you're just announcing? Are you?
If we need to
You
vote
guys are
on
the
it.
sponsors. I think the
Yeah.
sponsors can just pull it.
Yes. Mrs. Persino, if I'm in favor of that, as long as Mrs. Persino is.
She seconded it.
Yep.
I second it.
Okay, so resolution 02-2024 will be removed from unfinished business.
Hey, do we have any special presentations by staff members or invited consultants tonight? Nope. All right, public comments, limited to agenda items only. Would anyone like to? Okay. All right, going to move on into the reports. At this time, the mayor has nothing to report. Council, do we have anything we'd like to?
Nothing from me.
Share? All right.
No, but this time.
Okay. Moving to item 8, which is approval of previous minutes.
City manager?
I'm sorry, Mike.
That's all right.
I apologize. Poor Mike.
That's okay. Just a couple quick things. For the property at 5 and 534, the Dunkin' Donuts, I've received all the paperwork back from the engineer on the legal description, the platting for the annexation. I've been working with the law director to move forward with the next step to present it to the council. They have applied for all their appropriate permits through Braceville, through us in the county, and you could see some pre-construction, land clearing, stuff like that happening out there as soon as possibly next week, depending on, they're waiting on some paperwork from the state on that. So with the expected heat temperatures, the forecast this week, I know for a fact that today and tomorrow, maybe the majority of the week, we'll be running the generator down at the wastewater plant, feeding back into the system, which the peak shaving will help with reduce the cost of purchasing our power for in the future. So that'll be taking place, as well as I've been in contact with the fire chief and the EMA director. If the need arises, I've agreed to allow the use of this building for a cooling center if the need arises. I would expect if there were any requests, it would probably be during business hours, but there's a possibility that we may have to leave it open a little bit later in the day. So that would all just take place out in the great room, just a place for people to come in and be able to cool off if they don't have a means to be able to get out of the heat. All the departments are working towards all the car and bike show this weekend and the 4th of July festivities coming up, as well as getting grounds ready, things of that sort. The bike and car shows, the bike show is this Saturday, the car show is Sunday. And then over the 4th of July festivities, you'll start seeing the vendors are due to start coming in and setting up on Friday. That would be on the 28th. The festival opens on the 30th, and then we'll run through the 4th down at the city park. And one last thing, Ms. Persino mentioned last meeting about the Parks and Rec and the wanting the mulch for the playgrounds and stuff. I had a conversation with the finance director, and there are funds that have already been allocated under building and land maintenance that would cover. It would just require I believe what he said, it would require a transfer over to parks for it to be done. But there's funds that have been allocated if council wishes to move forward with that. With that, that's all I have.
Jeff, I apologize. Did you have anything?
Well, just very briefly, there's no need to apologize, Mayor. I think you all received my letter today on the Finance versus Treasury Board, Investment Board. There are few words that need to be analyzed, but it turned into a far more complicated matter when you compare and contrast the different sections of the charter. And I think that if you want me to, I can maybe decipher some of what Cincinnati and other cities have done in greater detail to try to maybe come up with a plan to make sure that there's more clarity going forward with the finance director and who has the ultimate responsibility and duties to make investment choices. Thank you.
Mayor, maybe.
Yes, please.
Just to clarify, I guess, you said if council wants to move forward with the purchasing of the mulch, do we need to make a motion here to direct you to do that, or is that coming from Parks and?
The recommendation has already come from Parks and Recs that they would like to do that. And it would have to be done with some legislature to do it because of the cost, the total cost.
Okay.
Is over what I can approve.
Oh, okay,
I'll take care of that and have it for the next meeting.
thank you.
All right, item 8, approval of previous minutes. This is for the regular meeting minutes of June 5th, 2024.
I'll make the motion.
I'll second.
Trustee Otis and Mr. Rufner. Discussion?
May I make a remark?
Yes.
Okay, Mr. Richards called and wanted something changed. And our person here, Mr. Michael Acomb,
Yes.
he already had gotten the information, so he did change the wording in Mr. Richards' commentary. Thank you.
Yes, thank you. The mischaracterization of his comments was unintentional, but when it was brought to my attention, I corrected it immediately. He received a copy of it, so did Ms. Stimper. So I didn't know you had been contacted. I would have sent it to you as well.
Yes.
Thank you. Ms. Persino?
Yes.
Mr. Rufner?
Yes.
Ms. Stimper?
Yes,
Ms. Benitez?
Yes.
Mr. Axiotis?
Yes.
All right, item 9, public hearings. Is there anybody? Okay. All right, we'll move into item 11, which is new business. This is a motion to direct the city manager, as recommended by the Parks and Recreation Commission, to purchase an ADA swing set for $786.78 from Parks and Dock Supply Company and install the swing at the city park located at 410 South Center Street near the Stone Pavilion.
I'll make the motion.
I'll second it.
Ms. Stimper? And Ms. Benitez?
Pardon?
Discussion?
Oh,
Any
What?
discussion?
oh, I thought you wanted to, all right.
I'm here. I did have something to say about that. Go ahead. This swing comes with all the nuts and bolts. All it has to do is be installed. The safety belt is gonna be made of the hard plastic. It's kind of like a roller coaster seat, so it'll fold all the way back for safety. So you can get the child in and out, or the child can get themselves in and out. It's for age groups 5 to 12, and it'll come back over and bolt just like a roller coaster seat. I've already talked to Robin. She's the owner of Parks and Dock, and she said, just give her a call, and she's willing to work with the city on this.
All right, next item of new business is ordinance, oh, I'm sorry.
We got to vote.
Oh, got a vote.
Ms. Stimper?
Yes.
Mr. Rufner,
Yes.
Mr. Axiotis,
Yes.
Ms. Benitez,
Yes,
Ms. Persino.
Yes.
Pass 5-0.
All right, now we can move on to the next item, which is ordinance 2024-30. This is an ordinance authorizing the interim city manager to enter into an agreement to purchase a three-phase pad, 150 kilovolts transformer from Sunbelt Solomon.
I'll make the motion.
I'll second.
Rufner, Ms. Persino. Is it Ms. Persino?
I'll second.
Thank you.
Any discussion? Please.
Real quick, and just for clarification, I've heard a couple of people ask, why are we doing this? Why is it ours? Why is it our responsibility? If you go back and take a look at the City of Newton Falls Electric Department service policy, it is our obligation and responsibility to install, own, operate, and maintain its service drops wires up to the point of contact to the consumer's building. So anything extending out there for that service, we own, operate, maintain the full gamut, right up to the point of connection to the customer's pole, so to say. So that's actually built into our service agreement, service policy. It's not just something we're doing because, so.
Please.
I do have a question, though, in that comment that he just made, and maybe Mike can weigh in, but that property doesn't exist in Newton Falls yet. So, even though, we're working on annexation, if the annexation falls through, it remains Braceville, right?
But it will still have the city utilities.
I thought it was like, as a requirement, we run utilities if they were part of Newton Falls, but they're really not yet. That was my concern.
Right, the utilities are all, water has been there, the sewer has been extended to the property, which was part of the sales agreement, and then the electric has already been extended and is there to the property, ready to drop down to the transformer.
Yeah, I understand it all, but it's still not part of Newton Falls yet, which is
Right,
concerning
but
to me,
we,
yeah.
we also have utilities that are outside of the village, in the township, and in different areas as well.
And my second follow-up to this is $150,000 for this transformer, and when I did ask about it, I was told for future development, but is there any future development plans that we're aware of, or anything? Because I've seen that.
The transformer's 19,000.
Yeah, but
The total cost.
Yeah.
There's 30-some acres on the southeast corner of the intersection that the same property owners, that they will be looking at developing in the future. And then we would have to talk with Bill George as far as any further development on out that Route 5 corridor if somebody were to want City Power versus Ohio Edison or First Energy Power there. But with the power being out there, it does open the door for more expansion and more customers.
All right.
I've been fighting that battle of thought for a while.
Thank
Call the
you.
roll.
Ms. Benitez,
Yes,
Mr. Axiotis,
Yes.
Ms. Persino,
Yes.
Mr. Rufner,
Yes.
Ms. Stemper.
Yes.
Pass 5-0.
Next, under new business, is ordinance 2024-31. This is an ordinance recognizing Jackson Street, which is located east of Warren Road, as an unimproved street and vacating the easternmost section of Jackson Street and transferring ownership of the vacated section to Denton Contrill and Carolyn Flint.
I'll make the motion.
I'll second it.
Mr. Rufner, Mr. Axiotis.
Any discussion?
I sponsor this really for the purpose of discussion. But I guess my one big thing I'd like to ask is, since we're dealing with this rezoning or abandonment of this property, has planning and zoning been engaged in this in any way? I understand that it's the action of this council, but if we're doing something that, I mean, we've got a committee. To me, it's only right that that committee should perform those functions. We have a hard time filling committees. We have a hard time getting commissions populated with people that, want to help. And I can see why, if we're going to bypass the committee altogether and just take action on an ordinance without their input.
Please.
Out of the planning and zoning meetings I've attended, since I've been on that, I have not heard this discussion bring up, and one of my concerns, and I just want to, I have a little bit of apprehension, we're only vacating a part of the street, not the rest of the paper street? Like,
Correct.
shouldn't we just vacate all of it? I mean, if we're.
No. The section that would be vacated is a 50-foot by 60-foot section that butts up against the old railroad property. The rest of it, the remainder of it, there is active sewer lines running under, that if we vacated all of it, then would have to go back through and get easements or access rights, because the line runs right through the middle of it. So this section is pretty much on an island. It's not big enough to do anything. It's not being maintained. It's just overgrown. To maintain it, it's just extra work for either street department, wastewater department to go back in there and just keep it cut down so that it's within the zoning regulations.
Mike, is this pinned up against the railroad tracks?
Yes.
Yeah. Those tracks are also being abated. So, I think a lot of right-of-way is going to transfer to the adjacent property owners too, with that property up by Warren Road.
My second question is there a cost associated with this to the city?
The way this was written would be that any cost at all for this would be absorbed by the Mr. Cottrell and Ms. Flint. No cost at all to the city.
How did this come about? If it didn't go through P&Z, did they just approach you?
There was an email sent that I believe the zoning inspector has received it as well, and then it came through to me.
Thank you.
Call the roll, Mike.
Ms. Persino?
Yes.
Yes, yeah.
Mr. Rufner?
Yes.
Ms. Stimper?
Yes.
Ms. Benitez?
Yes.
Mr. Axiotis?
Yes.
Pass 5-0.
All right, public comments.
We have one
Oh,
more.
I'm sorry.
I'm sorry, a motion was made to add to the agenda. A motion to change the July 3rd regular meeting of council to July 10th at 6 PM.
I'll make that motion.
I
I'll
will
second.
Ms. Benitez, Mr. Axiotis. Discussion?
The reason why I asked to change this is we all know this city gets extremely busy from the bike show until even after the 4th. I just felt it would be easier to move this to the next, week.
I just have an address real quick?
Please.
I just want to say, I'm fine with moving to the July 10th. According to our charter, we only need to have one meeting for July and one meeting for August. So if anybody is interested in having more, or if something comes up that we'd have to, we obviously could have them, but, so July 10th would be our only meeting in July, unless otherwise called for.
Good with me.
I think you may have one scheduled for July 17th.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, then we need to,
Yeah.
do we want to, okay.
You could amend the motion
Cancel
to
the meeting.
change the July 3rd meeting to July 10th at 6 PM and cancel the July 17th meeting.
May I have address?
Yes, please.
For planning purposes, Mr. Housley does have to have the 2024 tax budget through council with 2 readings and off to them by the 20th. So we will still need to have 2 meetings.
Okay, can I have address?
Yes, please.
We not have to have a 2-week window between the readings, though?
Mike saying yes.
I believe so.
Yeah, so the 10th, we may not be able to do the 10th.
You may have to do the 10th and then push. You could push to the 31st, push the 17th to the 31st.
No, he has to have.
It is due to the, I believe it's the state, the auditors by the 20th.
Move the 17th to the 27th.
So you could cancel the 17th and by the 19th.
So I almost feel like you need to do,
Just move it.
Could that be an emergency, out of curiosity?
Or, I'm sorry.
not for a
the
second
24th.
reading. Could we do an emergency?
It's due the 20th.
Oh, it's due the 20th. Ooh,
We could do that. We could run it as an emergency due to the time constraint.
For the second reading?
Yeah.
Within the time period necessary?
I will have to get back with Sean on that. I know he's formulating and was supposed to have it to me Saturday, but things got tied up. We are gonna have to introduce it and have at least one reading of it. Could potentially be as an emergency on the 17th. Or I'm sorry, the 10th.
The 10th.
Do it that way.
Why not the 1st and the 17th? We don't want it that week at all. First.
I'm sorry, just for clarification, you would propose him making that an emergency ordinance for the 10th?
Yes, if we can do that. Well, I check with him, obviously, but I also need to check with Sean on the requirements. I'll run that one.
So the motion is still to change the due date, or, I'm sorry, to change the July 3rd meeting to July 10th at 6 PM.
yes.
Was there a motion to cancel the 17th?
No, yeah.
Not at this point.
Okay. Ready? Mr. Axiotis,
Yes.
Ms. Persino,
Yes.
Mr. Rufner,
Yes,
Ms. Stimper,
Yes.
Ms. Benitez.
Yes.
Pass 5-0.
Public comments.
Adam Zimmerman, 515 LeMay Avenue. Just a couple real quick things. About this Jackson Street, Mr. Axiotis, you might remember when you were on Planning and Zoning, or well, we haven't seen it yet. As a member of Planning and Zoning Commission, we have not seen anything on this come through us regarding Jackson Street. But years ago, I'm a little bit hazy on this, I was on council and there was either a right-of-way or a paper street coming off the numbered streets, I believe, that council voted on to return to somebody. And I just don't know if that went through. You would have been a member of Planning and Zoning then, so I just don't know if it had to go through Planning and Zoning, if you would have remembered that or not. But I'm hazy on it. I can't remember myself if it went through Planning and Zoning first, but something like this just may not have to go through Planning and Zoning first, something that can be just done with an ordinance. I want to thank you for finally addressing our parks. We've heard in the past, prior to you being up here, excuse after excuse on why we couldn't do anything with the parks. Why there was no money for mulch, no money for swing repair, for playset repair, and we're actually moving forward on this. So thank you very much for taking these steps, to move forward. We hear about this ADA certified swing tonight. Thank you. And we also hear about what's coming up with mulch coming up in the future. So again, thank you. You talk to anyone in this town, a lot of people would rather see some newer mulch in the parks, even if it comes down to that instead of a road being paved. As of right now, they are in such bad shape. Just want to touch base on two. As a member of the 4th of July Committee, wanted to thank all of our donors for donating to our event that we had this past Saturday up at Faces. We were able to raise a little bit over $1,700 that night, so it was a very successful event. Just to let people know that even though we raised roughly $1,700, a fireworks display like we put on here in town cost $35,000. So this is just a drop in the bucket compared to what an overall fireworks display would cost. It's not going to help us out so much this year, but we are going to be starting fundraising and look for some other events coming up throughout the summer and the fall as other fundraisers for fireworks for next year. Just one more thing, if you want to look around here and say what's it look like to be successful, this is it. No one out here tonight, you've succeeded. What we haven't done in so many years is to make these meetings boring again. Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, it looks like we're moving into the closing remarks. And, I just wanted to address that property on Jackson Street. There's a lot of lots over there, or in the area of Warren Road that are 50 feet wide and they're unbuildable. So I think this is something that we need to maybe not set precedent with, but take a good hard look at, because there's just a lot of property there and it's not being maintained or improved. And if you have a couple of homeowners that can take ownership of that vacant or overgrown property, I think it'd be a good thing for the city. So that's all I have to say. Council, would you like to?
Yeah, I was thinking about bringing it up in the beginning, but I'll bring it up now. I know we had some problems at the park with the restrooms. Thanks for that photo, by the way. And I don't know if we have any options. Do we have any cameras or anything in the park?
The problem is this problem has been ongoing over the years. It comes, it goes. Even when there were cameras wired at the park, you cannot put them inside the restroom.
Well, of course not, but I mean, these,
But the chance of all you were able to see before was you might see a body go in or come out. There's no way of knowing who or what at any given time. It happened when we had our own police. It's happened here recently. It's just been an ongoing issue with when the restrooms are left open.
So here there's like graffiti and other issues. Like
there was an issue 3 weeks ago over the weekend in the women's restroom where the facilities were not used properly and caused to overflow. The maintenance department got called out twice over the weekend to try and correct the problems. And then the latest incident the following weekend.
But I heard there was graffiti, like on the skate area, there was graffiti on the pavilion, I heard. Like, I mean, if we had some cameras, you'd see at least kids doing it, or whoever's doing it, I should say.
The problem you'll run into trying to get, possibly could put something up around the pavilion area. You get back by where the skate park is access to power and how you're going to record it, where you're going to record it. Prior to, at one point in time, there was a recording device in the community center a number of years back when they did have them. There was always issues with the power and the quality of the video, et cetera, et cetera. I mean, I know things have improved over time, but right now, there are none up right now. We could look into putting something
What
up.
about a trail camera? Like what they use for deer, and they can shoot a picture right to someone's cell
Yeah,
phone,
they
maybe
have
someone on the
cellular
Parks and Rec
connections.
Committee.
They're battery
can't-
powered.
Yeah, battery powered.
Again, I mean, you run into some maintenance, make sure the batteries are fresh in them, things of that sort. So, I mean, that's something we could definitely look into, trying to come up with something. I've been talking with Rich Koss about options and different things.
Well, just not having a bathroom at the park's kind of a huge inconvenience if you're at the park and doing something. So
There-
I hate to have them closed and inaccessible because of this, and us not at least trying to take some steps to rectify it. I
Right.
don't know what that looks like, but I just
Right.
know, like, no one wants to run home to go to the bathroom,
Right.
you know?
Now, I mean, I know, and it's not the perfect answer, the baseball league has all season long, and even now with their tournaments, they have a number of the porta-johns down there, so there are some facilities there, it's just that main restroom has been closed. It's been open during the week, and only closed on the weekends currently. And I have not heard of any more issues since we've been doing that.
Are we gonna have them open for the carnival the whole week, do we know?
That was the original plan, other than on the night of the 4th, they are typically closed down on the night of the 4th. But there's also going to be more porta-johns brought in right there next to the building for that purpose as well.
Also, I don't know, I'm assuming it was the city. Somebody went out and did a lot of trimming along like sidewalks and other areas I'm guessing that the city owned. I got a couple phone calls from different individuals complaining that whoever did the trimming left like a lot of the trimmings blowing around. They were covering the sidewalk and,
Was it maybe by the power lines?
maybe. There was some
It might
override.
have been them clearing around where the power lines are. I do know when they went through and did that, the machine they used doesn't have any front bucket on it or anything to be able to pick up or move that stuff. I believe they should be going back through and cleaning up some of that.
Just figured I'd pass along with constituents' concerns, so.
I'm glad Brian brought that up, because I've had a lot of phone calls about the graffiti that's been going on in the Stone Pavilion. It's written all over the steel picnic tables in there. Somebody from Parks and Rec was nice enough to volunteer their time to go over there and try to clean it up. It's written on the stone, it's written up above. She managed to get some of it, like, very minimal. She used some acetone cleaner. I don't know if there's anything that the city would have a little bit stronger to try to get some of that up more, or any suggestions.
Possibly some high-pressure water, but we'll look into it and see what we can do.
And I've gotten phone calls and sent pictures of upset porta potties.
That was at that same weekend that everything happened in the main restroom.
Yeah. And so I'm glad Brian brought that up about the cameras, because I was even wondering about the cameras when they're there. How can we get them to work? And I think you have the one sign in front of the Stone Pavilion saying it's being surveillance. Maybe maybe get a couple of more signs and place them up throughout the park too.
So,
Because I noticed there's trash being dumped in the pond. Went over there and tried cleaning some of it up, but you can't get in the pond to clean it up. But it just looked like somebody just went through there and just dumped garbage all over the place. So there is some shenanigans going on over there. There's some, I sent some other stuff about a fight that went on over there. So I think cameras would really benefit that part. Because the one thing, people come to our town, they're looking at our parks. That's the main thing you're gonna look for. If you wanna move to a town, you're gonna look at your downtown area, and you're gonna look at your schools, and then you're gonna look at your parks. And if you have a graffiti-written park, not well maintained, you're gonna think, oh, that's a problem area, that's a problem section. How's the rest of the town? Is the town gonna be a problem area? I just think maybe we can do a little bit better with our parks.
sure. And I will look into, see what we can do or whatever. Just one thing to remember, cameras or no cameras, you may see an individual, but unless whoever's looking at this knows who the individual is, you're basically going to be looking for a needle in a haystack. You might see the act and be able to nail down a time, so just be aware. But I will research and see what we can come up with as far as getting some sort of coverage up there, and so.
Anybody have anything else? Kevin?
No, Mayor.
Jeff, you have? No, sir.
Thank you.
All right, Mike?
No.
Okay. We're going to recess into executive here?
Yeah, we need a motion to recess
All right.
for personnel.
I'll second the motion.
Lippert, and Mr. Axiotis, Mr. Rufner,
Yes.
Ms. Snipper,
Yes.
Ms. Persino,
Yes.
Ms. Benitez,
Yes.
Mr. Axiotis.
Yes.
Pass 5-0, 646.
Make a motion to return from executive session?
I'll
Second.
Mr. Rufner, Ms. Benitez?
Nope, I think it was Axiotis or me.
Mr.
Axiotis.
Axiotis? I'm sorry.
My voice is changing, Mike.
And you weren't even talking.
I'd like to second that.
Mr. Axiotis?
Yes.
Ms. Persino?
Yes.
Ms. Benitez?
Yes.
Mr. Rufner?
Yes.
Yeah,
Ms. Stimper? 7:30 feet.
Motion to adjourn?
second. Wait,
Makes a motion? Mr. Rufner?
I'll second.
Ms. Stimper? Mr. Axiotis?
Yes.
Ms. Persino?
Yes.
Mr. Rufner?
Yes.
Ms. Stimper?
Yes.
Ms. Benitez?
Maybe I should say no? Yes.
Pass. 5-0, 7:31.
Meeting adjourned.
All right, we're done.
I could hear it through the speaker.
Every meeting. He walks out to that every meeting.